Casper, many times we get the question, should you still buy Apple stock? We're not talking here about should you buy an iPhone, an iWatch, AirPods or anything. We're talking about the stock.
Especially this week because Apple was in the news.
Apple was in the news.
Because
Apple
of the new products.
New products.
And we looked at the share. Yeah, we look at the share every day, but we made our technical analysis.
Correct.
And then we saw, wow, this is a really important point where Apple is trading now, and we will talk about it later in this video. It's a real, for all the people that have Apple in their portfolio or are thinking about to buy it or to go short in it, you have to realize that. We're going to talk about that later.
Correct.
First of all, the market, the sector of mobile phones, it's decreasing in the last period. Except the Apple iPhones, they are still up. And that's really important because around 60% of all the revenues from Apple are generated by the sales of iPhones.
Correct.
So that's really important. So we're also going to talk about the new iPhone, not all the new products, but especially the new iPhone. Because you dove into it and you know everything
the technical
about
details. Yes.
Apple is also doing it very well in the last decade because their market share increased from 15 to 20%. And
on the iPhone market.
On the iPhone market, on the phone market.
Mobile phone market.
And especially they took that market share from Android. So they're quite doing well. New products. And then I come back with you because I have three main headwinds I think that the share will face in the next periods.
Yeah.
One of them is the product, but you were going to talk about the product.
Yeah, the product. I mean, it's funny. They brought out the new iPhone, the iPhone 15, and each time, I mean, we both I think like more an iPhone than an Android phone. I mean, as long as I know you, which is quite a long time, you always had at least the iOS, not so much the phone itself, but maybe the software. The software you get used to, and it's user friendly, and it's very much different to Android. But we're of course here attacking directly the Android lovers, which of course is also a great system. But looking at what they're going to do is they are bringing out the iPhone 15 and it has a special case, and the special case is the same as the Mars Finder. It's a little thing that the material, the titanium that they're using, I think, okay, that's not something that I would buy an iPhone for.
Oh, but then it's really strong.
It's really strong, but on the other hand, I mean, you know how it works.
All the iPhones have it.
This new iPhone 15 will have, not all of them, I think it's a special edition, but the majority of the cases will be like that. But anyway, you always put a case around it anyway. Then another important point was that they make the screen slightly different. The screens will have 19,000 million transistors, and they're made by a very specific lithography technology. 12 atoms per silicium, so please look that up. That's amazing. That's one of the main things why you should buy one. But all these specific things make that this phone will be 20% faster than my iPhone 14, which I'm recording this video with at the moment. So for your information, it will definitely become quicker. But what you also said to this earlier today is that, are we capable of seeing those differences?
So unfortunately, we have limitations as a human being.
Yeah.
Our eyes can only see some kind, and I think we are reaching that limit. So I was really a little bit disappointed, and I think a lot of people in the market about the new things. And they have now the USB charger, but that was mainly because of the pressure of the European regulators. Said no, that must be the same everywhere.
You mean that the what goes into the phone?
Yeah.
But I also think is so stupid, Casper. And I'm saying here stupid, which maybe is not the right word, but come on. I bought the iPhone 14, right? And there's no plug with it.
No.
So you get a cable, and I had the 8 before this, right?
Really?
So the iPhone 8. And the iPhone 8 was still, I couldn't charge it, so I had to go and buy. I mean, it doesn't matter, it's 26 euros, but it's quite strange. You buy a phone which is almost 1,100 euros, and then it doesn't come with a charge.
And they increased the price, no? Of the
the new 15 normal will be starting price 1,219 euros, and the more sophisticated one, the Pro, will be 1,469. Those are the starting models with small memories, only 128
Yeah, but you
gigs.
have also in the US one of $429.
With the 15?
Yes, I think so.
Maybe it's the smaller one.
Yeah, the smaller one, like a phone. You get a phone like this,
don't
but they're always cheaper in the US, of
yeah.
course. I think, and then we go after that to your technical analysis. I think the headwind is the product itself. You highlighted the most important changes. I think It's not something that if people need a new phone, they will buy the new iPhone 50, but you can still buy the 14 and 13. But I think there are not a lot of people with the iPhone 14 that say now, okay, I'm going to sell my iPhone 14 because I need this iPhone 50. And so I think the product is that's one of the headwinds I think they will face. China is the number 2 with 3 underlying problems. The first problem is what the Chinese government has announced, that people that work for the government are not allowed to use iPhones, watches and earphones anymore. It's not started yet, but it will be soon. And of course this is a start, so maybe other companies will follow.
Absolutely.
Is that important? Yes, it's important, because almost 20% of the total revenues from Apple are generated in China.
Yeah.
The second one is the economical slowdown in China. I think everybody knows it's not going very well.
No.
It's an expensive product, as you just mentioned, so this will affect probably China itself. And Huawei is the main competitor in China. They released, I think that they do it just before the release, because everybody knows when the release dates are of the iPhones. New products that are really competitive and much cheaper than with the iPhone. So I think in China it's a big market. On the other hand, they said also they're focusing more on India, and they see that they can grow there with double figures. So they're shifting a little bit away to
and there's a lot of people living there.
India and other emerging markets.
Yeah.
And I think it was also in the news in the last period that in France they said, okay, the iPhone 12 that send out radioactive radiation, and that's above the maximum maximum limit. In the Netherlands they have the same limits and they are investigated it. On the other hand, the World Health Organization did a lot of research about it in the last 20 years, and they never concluded that it's really bad for our... Do you keep your watch next to your head in your bed?
I have it next to my bedside.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I use it as my alarm.
Yeah. But
I do put it on night mode.
Yeah, I think it's even better to put it on flight mode, and then it's maybe not sending out any. But yeah, according to the World Health Organization, it's not bad for us. So I think that are especially China, and that is a really big headwind, and the market itself. Until now, they could outperform the market, but with those new products, for how long they can do it. Technical analysis from Martin, really important.
Yeah, I think, there's 2 ways of looking at technical analysis. I will keep it short. We have visual technical analysis, something that you and me both are seeing, and then you have the more statistic technical analysis.
We see, everybody sees some different.
Yes, that's actually, I'm saying it's wrong. Thank you for correcting me. And that's because
helping you.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough, because when you look at statistics are statistics. But when you look visually, you can see different patterns and different levels. So what we're seeing in front of us now is the chart of Apple, and you see that the highest level was, to be very specific, on the 28th of July from this year, and at a price of $196. And since that point, it came down to 175, 174, where we are trading at this specific moment. But that is a really important level, because that same level was an extremely important resistance in August of last year. It was a very important resistance in, actually 2 times, in March 2022, exactly also this level where we are now. We go back in the chart even, we see that it was also important in December of 2021, and also here in September of 2000. Is everything right? No, sorry, I have to put my thing right here. Oh no, so let's say December 2021. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4, and today levels on where this price is hanging. So it was first of all having difficulties to get through that, and on the other hand, it has difficulties now to bounce back from this level. It's been on here for a couple of days. It actually, if you look really well, you see it was there, then it went back up, and then it fell back down. Eh?
Yeah.
So back down to this 175. Then what I also did is I draw the Fibonacci.
But that's the point where we realize this is a really important point.
Yeah.
It can go up if it bounces back. It can go. But it also, you see the chart will be down here. I'm looking at the screen now. It broke the trading line also.
Definitely.
It's such an important point now for the share.
Yeah. What I've done is I basically draw a Fibonacci retracement from the dip from March 2020, so the COVID crash, and the price of Apple at that moment was around $50. And you see that the middle of that is 125 compared to the highest level where it was. And you see that the lines that appear in this chart, and that's something that everybody sees, are on tops and are on moments where the chart is actually bouncing. And that's also funny. You see that the 76.4% retracement of Fibonacci is at the price of 160. And if you look at the 61.8% retracement, we are at 142. And those levels are also really important support and resistance levels in the past for the Apple price. What can you do with this as a trader? Does this say, okay, you should buy at this level, that level? Not really, because it doesn't predict anything, but it does give you some, we're always looking for confirmation, no? And what you could say, for instance, okay, I'm wanting to take a position in Apple. You could say, I'm going to be careful. I'm going to place a limit order at 165. But you could also say, I sell a put option that obliges you to buy the stocks for a price of around 165 or something. There will definitely be some premium in there for you, I think, if you look at a 1 or a 2 month put option. So basically, all in all, I think from a technical perspective, be careful.
Really, it's really important, and it's really interesting to see what will follow in the next weeks.
Absolutely.
Will it drop? Because
Absolutely.
this is an important moment. Really interesting. Some facts about the fundamental part of the stock.
Yeah.
If you look at the earnings per share, it's estimated, and it's this year around $5.60, and with this trading share price at around 174, it's 30 times you pay the profit.
Yeah.
Is that high? Is that low? I'm going to say something about that. It is expected that the profits per share will grow next year to $6.60, and then it's trading at around 26.
Yeah.
If you look, and I think we're going to put that also in the screen, if you look at the 10 years average price earnings, then you see the average is 20. So trading now at 30, even 26 next year is high.
It's high.
Okay, is it the highest point? No, it was in 2020 42 almost, but it's really high. It's really high. So it's really important that the future growth of the earnings that they can maintain. It's really important.
Yeah, and the growth, I mean, it's not so high. I'm picking your moment here.
Yeah.
The growth rate on Apple is for the next 5 years is 5.9% per annum, which is not extremely high if you compare it to an Amazon or something around 10. So, and if you put that into, because that's how, for instance, Warren Buffett looks at it, he uses the Benjamin Graham model, which we also used in the past, then the intrinsic value of Apple at this moment, using that model, is only $107. So the growth rate needs to pick up. If the growth would be 10, I'm just filling it in here as we speak, and then the average price, so if the earnings per share are growing with 10% per year, then the intrinsic value is 151. So that says something, Casper, because there's also a lot of criticism on this model that it's detailed and too old. So actually the average growth should be even lower. So Apple also on a fundamental basis.
And if you look at the past growth figures, the earnings per share, that was also generated by the fact that Apple bought back a lot of shares always. Why? Because they had a lot of money. If you go back to 2017, they had around 150 billion in cash. Nowadays, it's only 53 billion in cash. So they used that $100 billion mainly for buying back shares.
Yeah.
And what you do then, of course, you take shares out of the market, so the profit per share goes up. But it's not because you generate more revenues.
No.
So a lot of people say, okay, this is going down a race to the bottom, and then it stops. Then the growth, the earnings per share, the big growth of the last decade will stop. There is another argument, and that's the free cash flow. If you look at the chart of the free cash flow, I have it in front of me also going back from 2017, that's really interesting to see. They had a free cash flow of $50 billion in 2017, and in 2022 it was 100 billion. So that's the opposite. So they can, from the free cash flow, they can still buy probably, they can buy back, keep on going buying back shares. So that is still a good driver for pumping up the earnings per share.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really interesting to follow it from a technical and a fundamental perspective, and
Yes.
also from a product perspective.
Interesting product, interesting stock.
There is one guy that follows it really, I think, really close, and that is Warren Buffett. He owns around almost 6% of all the shares. He's not the biggest one. The biggest one is Vanguard, and the number 3 is BlackRock, but that's mainly through ETFs. So he's. We looked at what he did last quarter. He buys new stocks, he sells stocks, he increased and decreased positions. He didn't touch his Apple position. So probably he is now with his team looking at the iPhone 15 and see what they think about it. And that is also, I think, a really big driver for the Apple, and mainly because he also used really simple fundamental programs, models, and maybe it's not working anymore. So I think really interesting to follow the next weeks based on a technical, on the chart, because this is a really important moment. What will be the share? What will it do in the next periods?
Definitely. Say it.
Give us your thumb. Thank you for watching.
See you next week.